Hey, hi, it's Eric from GameShampoo.com. Doing a weekly news update. It is Friday night and kind of dark actually, so turn on some more lights. It's a little better. So yeah, it's Friday. Usually I do these things Saturday afternoon, but I don't know. Felt like doing one a little early. I feel like things are kind of wrapping up in terms of the news day and everything, so felt like it was pretty safe to just do one now. So what's going on in the world of video games? Well, thank you for asking. I'll tell you all about it, but first, Decepticons. We put up a story on the website. It's, I guess technically not really games related, but kind of tech related, and thought it was pretty cool. So basically, this is an article that originally ran on CBS, and it's about DARPA and this robot that they've created called the Cheetah, and it's outrunning land speed records, Usain Bolt's records for sprints and stuff have been defeated by this robotic cheetah creature that DARPA has made with, I guess, the intention of using it in search and rescue missions. But really it's kind of like a freaky... It looks like Ravage from Michael Bay's Transformers movies, kind of, except it has no head right now. It's just like this disturbing torso thing, like freakily gesticulating around with four limbs and running on a really super fast treadmill. It's freaky. We've got the video from DARPA on our site. Thought it was cool and also kind of funny how the thing looks like a friggin' transformer. But anyways, that's our non-video game related news for the week. So we've got plenty of video game stuff for you too. We've been pretty busy with Hearthfire this week. We're doing some pretty cool stuff with that. We've got videos about making your house, securing the deed, and becoming a Thane and that kind of thing up on our YouTube channel. And I'm going to talk about Hearthfire and Dawnguard coming to the PS3, or maybe the lack of a PS3 version, and how it doesn't really seem super feasible for that to happen anymore, especially with Fallout 4 in the cards and Bethesda publishing Dishonored next month. Lots of Skyrim related stuff, so if you're interested in that, and really, who isn't, go check that out. Speaking of RPGs, we have a new trademark registered by Square Enix. It looks like, anyway, they're bringing back their Mana, however you want to say it, franchise. Yeah, no, say it Mana, say it like a real person. The trademark is for Circle of Mana, which I suppose is a new title in the Mana series, which is great, because there hasn't been anything in that series since 2007, when there was a weird Nintendo DS like light real-time strategy thing, kind of like that Revenant Wings Final Fantasy spin-off, and I don't think that did so well. So, understandably, I don't think it was weird. And generally, I like those games. a lot, especially Secret of Mana. I mean, the classic that pretty much put it on the map, right? But that DS thing was strange. And so nobody really knows what this is going to be yet. There's some speculation based on the title. The circle interconnectivity kind of thing might be referencing some kind of MMO, which wouldn't be totally out of the question given that Square recently revealed Final Fantasy XI was their most profitable Final Fantasy title ever. 14, they're rebooting it, but I don't really see it going anywhere particularly. And they've got Dragon Quest X on the Wii over in Japan. They're showing it off for the Wii U at TGS. That's actually a later article on here. So it seems like they have a pretty heavy investment in online stuff right now. But with Dragon Quest X still a ways out for any sort of international release, I highly doubt that we'll see it on the Wii here, but maybe the Wii U? I don't know. And Final Fantasy XI's old. Final Fantasy XIV is hated by a lot of people. So it wouldn't be totally out of the question for this to be an MMO trying to recoup maybe some of the losses of 14 or something like that. But I just don't think that the Mana name is as much of a household name anymore, or really ever, as the Dragon Quest and Final Fantasy stuff was. So maybe it wouldn't make quite as much sense to bring it back into the fold after, like a 5, probably 6 to 7 year by the time the game actually comes out absence. Also heard, in forums and stuff, some people saying like, oh, maybe it's like a sort of HD collection or compilation kind of package. Circle of Mana, like Circle of Life, I guess. I don't know. That's a stretch. But well, whatever it is, we'll have it for you when it comes out. Following that, more interesting pseudo RPG news. We've got Borderlands 2 pre-orders smashing records. Basically, this is Take-Two's highest pre-ordered game of all time. It's gonna be huge for them, and they're talking officially more about it in the UK than in the US, where I am. But they're saying in the UK it has destroyed pre-order records that they had previously established, and we've got some numbers for the US in here as well. We had to do a little bit of digging ourselves to find them. Take-Two was not as forthcoming, but I can read those out right now. So this is not necessarily 100% accurate or anything. These are kind of, rough guesstimates based on what stores are reporting to the NPD and those kind of groups. But let's see, the 360 version is looking at around 368,000 copies pre-ordered so far, around 152,500 for the PS3 version, and around 77,000 for the PC version, as of the writing of that article, which was earlier today, Friday the 7th. So for pre-orders, that's like, 500,000 sold before the game's even out. That's pretty big. And that puts it at the 4th most pre-ordered game of the day, I suppose, of right now. It's lagging behind the PS3 and 360 versions of Call of Duty Black Ops 2, naturally, and Halo 4. So that's really impressive, especially just for the second game in a series like this. And when you consider really what this is and how it all came to be, and the lengthy development process of the first game, and how they changed art styles at the last second, and it's very, very impressive. Definitely pretty excited for the guys at Gearbox. They know how to make a quality product, and looks like Borderlands 2 is going to be great. So the fact that it's currently outselling Assassin's Creed 3, which Ubisoft was bragging about earlier this year as like their most pre-ordered game or something like that. Assassin's Creed 3 is the fifth. Assassin's Creed 3 is the fifth most pre-ordered game right now, compared to Borderlands 2, and it's fourth place. Briefly mentioned that Dragon Quest X is going to be making its Wii U debut at TGS. Square Enix is going to be having a presentation. They haven't really said what they're going to be showing off specifically regarding the game, but of course we are hoping for gameplay, hoping to see some hopefully upgraded graphics and some tablet integration, maybe using it for, say, like item management or hotkey spells and abilities, that kind of thing. That would be pretty cool. So we're gonna look forward to Dragon Quest X Wii U coverage soon, and it's exciting. Nintendo is not known for great online support and that kind of thing, so the fact that there's an MMO in development for the Wii U already, even though the US details are pretty iffy at the moment, it's cool. What else we got here? We got some Crash Team Racing 2010 screenshots. This is supposedly a canned version of Crash Team Racing, I suppose a sequel of sorts for the PSP. That was in works down at Activision, and thinking on it, I don't know, I have to check. High Impact Games, that's what it is. Could not think of that name. Guess I haven't played anything by them in a long time. They developed Daxter, Jak and Daxter: The Lost Frontier, I'm sorry. Secret Agent Clank, Ratchet and Clank Size Matters for the PSP. So, maybe not the most consistent, I guess, developer, but I certainly enjoyed Size Matters, and Secret Agent Clank was alright. That Jak and Daxter game was kind of sad for a fan of the series. But it looks like they were developing a Crash Team Racing sequel, which would have been exciting. You know, it was fun when I was a kid. But for whatever reason, Activision put it on the back burner, and now we've got this little slideshow on here of screenshots from the canned game. So that kind of thing is always kind of interesting for me to see. Like, this is all the stuff we had in development for the game, this is the direction we were going, and then no more. So, you know, might as well show off those assets so people can learn from it or imagine what could have been or whatever. We have that promised Lightning Returns Final Fantasy XIII footage up here, which consists of the whole big conference that they did in Japan as well. And we have more Japanese gameplay footage from Capcom's Remember Me. This was a game that was announced at Gamescom. We had a really big 10-minute gameplay video of it up during Gamescom, and now we have another 10-minute video. This one showcases more of the action. The last one was kind of a puzzle-solving thing, almost reminiscent of Ghost Trick for Nintendo DS and now iOS, which is a really, really cool game. If you guys have never played it, check it out. Basically, you're replaying this scenario as a sort of omniscient force, and by changing certain things in the environment, you change the outcome of the scenario. So you have to rewind every time you fail and figure out, like, okay, if I change this, like if I knock over this bottle, for example, in the demo, then this angry drunk guy won't be able to reach for it to throw it at his girlfriend, so instead he'll grab the gun and point the gun at her instead, which results in him accidentally killing her. And so that way you can change the whole scenario just by manipulating something a little tiny like that. So that was the last gameplay video. This one is much more action-y, a lot of platforming, a lot of dodging and kind of weaving about as people lay down some heavy gunfire on you, and there's a little bit of hand-to-hand combat in there as well. It's interesting. I don't know if I would call it, I don't know if I would say I'm super excited about it yet. I am conceptually very taken with it. I think it's a really, really cool idea. Platforming is kind of reminiscent of Uncharted, but it looks a little stiff. Same with the hand-to-hand combat, but they have until next year to polish it up, so not making any judgment calls or anything like that. The thing that really irks me about that big gameplay video is the awful dialogue. It's kind of hilariously terrible, so check it out if for no other reason than to laugh at the dialogue, but know that it is kind of a curiosity. It is kind of interesting looking. What else do we have on here? Got a Dark Souls article. People are hesitant to play Dark Souls according to an interview with the developers at From Software, and they were considering a patch for an easy mode, which would not override the normal mode, but would kind of exist as a companion to it, just in case, the concept of playing such a friggin' difficult game was kind of imposing or, freaks you out or whatever. But since then, actually just, an hour ago or so, they put out word from Software that it was a mistranslation in the interview, so I don't know if that's true, really, or if they're just saying that to kind of appease fans who got upset about it because the story did kind of take off in a kind of a crazy way. The fans love the game because of its difficulty. Got console news. There's evidence that Valve is building a Steam-based console. This definitely isn't the first that we've heard of something like this, and I'm pretty sure it's not going to be the last, because they actually have a job posting on their corporate site now looking for people with experience putting out hardware, and they actually require that the applicants have several years of experience with shipped products like the Xbox 360, the PS3, or the Wii consoles. So evidence is mounting that there will be some sort of Steam-based box, but what exactly that will end up being in the end is very much up in the air. And we've got news on the Xbox 720. I don't like that name for it, but that's pretty much all we have to go on right now. Xbox 720, Durango, whatever you want to call it. We have received word that it has been delayed, which is kind of funny because you think, like, okay, delayed from what? There was never an original release date. Well, supposedly Microsoft was planning on shooting this thing out in September 2013, which is kind of surprising just because these kind of things traditionally launch in November. But their processors are, I believe the source is quoted as saying they're horrible. So they're going with an AMD processor this time, and the development of the processors has been delayed until December at the earliest, and basically Microsoft does this kind of 8-week testing process on the processors when they put them in their consoles, and AMD does thorough testing on them as well. And with all this time that it takes to test everything, make sure it's all up to snuff, they just wouldn't have time to get it out by September in a mass quantity like that. I believe they said they'd have to get it out by February 2013 at the absolute latest in order to have any chance of getting it out in September. So if if the next Xbox launches in September, expect supplies to be short, or alternately, expect it to launch October or November. Not hugely surprising. You know, people are saying like Wii U's coming in November. I mean, yeah, that matters, but of course it is. Like, don't they always? And finally, we have this massive Metal Gear Ground Zeroes. I almost hesitate to call it gameplay, but technically it is all in-game trailer. It's basically like an 11-minute cutscene, and there's like a very slight amount of gameplay at the end. This game looks totally beautiful, and everything I'm hearing about it gets me really, really excited, even though I was totally down with Metal Gear Solid 4 actually being the last Metal Gear Solid like they said it would. But, you know, every time they say it's going to be the last Metal Gear Solid, it's never the last Metal Gear Solid. It's like I don't know. Poor Kojima's been working on Metal Gear for like 20 years now. I don't know if he maybe just doesn't know how to do anything else anymore. It's like Metal Gear all the time. Driving him insane. Either way though, guys gotta be praised for keeping things interesting. If you haven't seen this footage yet, it went up, I believe, on Monday. Yep. I stuck it up on Labor Day, and if you haven't seen this footage yet, it is mighty impressive. I'm definitely excited. So that's it in terms of news. It's going to be a big week for reviews as well, though. We've got a review of War of the Human Tanks up on the site right now. This is an indie game. It's currently on Steam Greenlight, so you can head over and greenlight it if you want. I'm going to say I did not enjoy the game, and the review will reflect that, but I definitely do not discourage you from greenlighting it. There are things about it that conceptually could be okay, but I think it all ended up being kind of a wreck. I don't want to go on for too long about it, because the review does go into a pretty decent amount of depth. But head over to the site and check out the review if you want to know more about this new indie strategy game. It's super heavy on the dialogue and a little too light on the actual gameplay, but if you're a huge otaku and a huge fan of anime, you might be able to overlook it. It just irks the crap out of me, that whole like sense of humor and that whole, I don't know, way of writing things, I guess. And it is, for a game with so much text, it can be a little awkwardly translated at times, but anyways, hit up the full review. There's a lot in the way of issues with this game, but it's not a game without merit at all. I mean, there are parts that are less crappy. And then we've got a bunch of other review stuff coming up too. Last week, when I was doing one of these videos, I was talking about the releases next week, aka this week, and I did not realize at the time, I don't know if they'd even announced it officially at the time, that Mark of the Ninja was coming out on Xbox Live Arcade. That just came out today, and I've been playing the crap out of it, and it's great. It's a pretty cool game. So I'm going to have a review of that up as soon as possible. Plus, that really long time in the making Dust and Elysian Tale review. It's only been out for, what, like a month now, but finally I get to talk about how awesome this game is. Super cool. It's just like beautiful art style, really precise combat and platforming, kind of almost a kitchen sink kind of game. There's platforming, there's combat, there's item crafting and that kind of stuff. It's really cool. Go into a lot of depth about it in the review. If you haven't checked it out on Xbox Live Arcade yet, check it out. And then we talked about The Walking Dead episode 3, which probably the strongest episode yet. So look forward to those reviews. And come back next week. We will have a review of Tekken Tag Tournament 2, which releases Tuesday, September 11th. And that is next week's kind of big review. And I don't know about a lot of you. I'm pretty sure it's safe to say I know about a lot of you, but I'm fairly excited for Tekken Tag Tournament 2, but it's being overshadowed just a little bit by how freaking awesome Borderlands 2 looks, and that's coming out that week right after, so look forward to Tekken review, and super look forward to Borderlands 2 review and the unboxing that we're going to do of the Epic Loot Chest Edition, which just looks awesome. So yeah, I look forward to that. Also, I've got all these magic cards just like dumped on my table. I had like a ridiculous amount of them stuck over there for a while, but I cleaned some of them up. But since most of them are still there, I feel it bears mentioning that I switched around the green deck that I was showing off a few weeks earlier just a little bit. So it has 4 primordial hydras in it now, and I took out the little 2/2 forest walk ladies who are in it. I don't even remember what they're called. They were kind of just placeholders because I wanted something else that was kind of cheap. Well, now the primordial hydras are my other cheap cards in addition to the Llanowar elves. They only cost, at a minimum, they cost 3 to play, and since their strength and their power and toughness double each turn, and they get trample if they have 10 or more 1/1 counters on them, they're pretty much one of the best 3 plays you can toss out there. So now I've got 4 Gilded Lotuses, 2 Elvish Archdruids, a bunch of... So yeah, just wanted to share that little tidbit about the deck in case you've been keeping up with it for some reason, in which case you should probably find something else to do. But new deck, 4 Primordial Hydras and 4 Gilded Lotuses. Pardon my French, but c'est magnifique. Also, it's fucking awesome. I didn't even know if that was French. I think it's French. Well, that's going to be it for this week. So, thanks for watching, and goodbye.